Yeah? Okay. Right. So today I want to talk about the way we use language, and I think we kind of covered a part of it last time when we met, and I'd given you an exercise to do. Do you remember? Yeah, what your note was, right? Okay. So I'm just going to, I just thought we'd use a few visuals because some people like visuals, right? And what we did was an experiential approach to the whole thing. We had strings and we kind of tied the knots. Karthik, I'm assuming you're making notes. Okay. So, first of all, I've got to give credit to a friend of mine, Colin Beard, who's an experiential educator in England, and we did some work together. And I remember the first time he described how we use language, and the way he described it was that he said, "So, uh, let me put it a little differently. Can you speak two thoughts at the same time? Can you even imagine? Can you even imagine what it's like to? It's like I have two thoughts going on. The brain is much faster, right? But when we speak, the way Colin describes it is, it's like pulling a string out of your mouth, right? And and you're kind of one thought at a time, one idea, one word, and you're kind of pulling it out of your mouth. And we call that language, and we call use words for expression. Anything we speak has substance. That substance we call an idea. Yeah. So anytime you say anything, you're really sharing an idea with the world outside. Yeah. So if I asked you, what is your idea about what we are doing right now? What would you say?
Kind of trying to understand each other's perspective,
Okay.
uh, understand the thought process,
Right.
communicate.
Yeah. So and what's it doing for you?
It's a opening up possibilities of
Opening up possible
thinking, of
of thinking.
seeing, of uh, grasping.
Okay. Anybody else? What do you think we're trying to do here? What's it doing for you? I think that
Yeah,
would be my question.
it's getting me level up each time. The hurdles, I think so. I personally I have that hurdles are getting crossed every time.
And what are you doing specifically to cross those hurdles?
I think so. Every session has some takeaways
Right.
in that manner. The last session you had given us homework to like do something today itself, not tomorrow.
Right.
So that day I made sure like I switch off my Wi-Fi and directly go to sleep rather than browsing the
Right.
Netflix. So that's something.
Did it change anything for you?
Yeah, for sure. The next day I was more energetic. I think so. The rest was very peaceful. Like the number of hours sleep was the same, but the quality of the sleep was a bit
Much better.
different. Yeah,
Okay. So it's just one thing that you tried
yeah,
has the ability to, and I'm guessing you've been thinking about switching off your Wi-Fi and not doing your browsing or whatever swiping
yeah,
for a long time, right?
yeah. The key was like doing today, not tomorrow.
Doing it today.
Today,
So
yeah,
you're just thinking of today,
yeah,
not
today.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's where we mess up a lot of
yeah,
things, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So interesting that that's an idea now, right? And when you share it, it comes out in what Colin refers to as a linear form. So if you look at that slide, um, it's always one idea, one thought, one word at a time. And then we put those words together, right? Okay. So think of it, think of the ideas that we have as a string. All the thing going on in our brain as a string. Yeah. And every idea that we come across that we have is like tying a knot. Yeah. How attached are you to your ideas?
Times.
Give me one, give me an example of an idea that you're really attached to and make a statement of it.
I think what we were discussing right before this, that like your inner world reflects your outer reality.
Mm-hmm.
So in this context, maybe just like understanding your inner world, being open to making it better, and then going like aligning with others with communication and like self work, or like as a community team, whatever, and taking it forward.
So, what is the idea in that, whatever you've said that you're attached to?
I am attached to the idea that it starts with you,
Me?
in like with your once like in with an individual, like whatever.
So, can you use me instead of.
Yeah, me, sorry. It starts with me,
Okay.
and then it goes out.
So, the idea you're attached to is that it's because it starts with me. What will you do?
Take responsibility.
Take responsibility for anything that happens in the outside world.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big one. Right? Okay. So, that's your knot. Yeah? Okay. Anybody else?
An idea that I'm invested in.
That you're really attached to. Something you don't want to give up.
Film school. Film school.
Go on. Tell me more. What are you attached to?
I am attached to getting into it and having a better degree so I can work on films.
In the context of films
Yeah.
and media.
yeah.
Yeah? Okay. What happens if it comes true?
I feel accomplished and like satisfied.
Satisfied?
Yeah.
What happens if it doesn't?
I find another way to get to it. Yes.
What happens if that doesn't work?
I find other methods to crack the same plan into like bits and then get to it. Doesn't have to be through film,
Yeah.
like through film school, but through anywhere I can get into it.
Right. What happens if, let's say, on that journey to, in trying to get somewhere with your education in film and media, um, you find another passion, another interest that you want to follow?
I won't sideline it. I will think about
You
it.
don't know that yet.
Huh?
You don't know that yet. But you won't sideline it. Okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
I mean, I will think about it if, say, I'm doing something related to the field.
Yeah,
And if I start liking shooting,
yeah.
I might tip towards it, but I won't leave editing altogether.
You think you won't, or you won't?
I won't.
You won't.
Yeah.
Okay. So think of that as a fairly a tight knot. Okay. And what that means is that you're going to do everything possible to get to that place. But at the other end of that knot are two possibilities. I'm just giving you two for now. One is disappointment, the other is satisfaction. Yeah? Okay. Great. So here's the theory that the tighter your knot, less the flexibility. So you might choose to pursue film and media even though you might hate it because you told yourself one day that this is what I want to do. And now you feel a compulsion to live up to it.
Not a compulsion. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time.
I know, but that's your not today.
Hmm.
5 years hence, you don't know, right?
I might
Yeah?
change, might not.
Might change, might not change. And the whole point is that you could either walk away with guilt because you couldn't follow through with what you said 5 years ago, or you could just look at it a little differently, right? So the tighter the knot, I think, greater the unhappiness, greater the misery. And the knot represents an idea like that. It represents belief. It represents uh, a fixed idea about anything. An example would be uh, non-vegetarian food should not be eaten by anybody because it kills animals, right? And then anytime you come across non-vegetarian food, you turn your nose or you know, that whole misery begins to play itself out in language. And like you mentioned, the inner world and the outer world are connected, and the outer world begins to reflect what your inner world is. So if you believe that a certain thing is not good, either for the body or for humanity or whatever it might be, and there's a lot going on right now in the world, the chances of your degree of misery at the end of it is much greater. That makes sense so far? Yeah. Okay. So I just want to walk you through this. So take a look at the slide. So everything that we've talked about, for those of some people are visual in their learning, so something like this works, and sometimes something like a slide might work. So think of each idea as an independent thought and a knot in a string, and the string that connects these knots. What would you call that? There's a whole lot of stuff going on between knots, right? Yeah. Our whole history is playing itself out, and then a knot forms. So you might have seen somebody, yeah, you might be in your experience, you may have people who are doing brilliant films, or you may have seen somebody in the act of shooting or editing, or whatever that form that you've seen, it becomes part of the experience, becomes part of your history. And the history supports holding on to that knot. So you can't cut that knot away and say, I don't have a knot. The only thing you can do is choose to loosen it. That makes sense? So we're building conditioning or history and then we are making more and more knots in the way we think, in the way we do, in the way we receive the world. Yeah. Okay. Now, the more fixed we are about anything, the tighter the knot. Okay, so far. Now, here's the thing: the fixedness very often becomes a fight, not only for ourselves within. So you might find something else interesting. Let's say you want to become a chef 5 years from now. Now your desire to become an editor, a cameraman, whatever, film production, whatever that media form may be, that belief in that is a little shaken because you're saying, hey, being a chef is also a fantastic profession, and you may choose to begin to move towards that. And the world's telling you, why don't you stick with one thing? But the one thing, you're already loosening that knot, and the world will tell you, don't do that. So now you're going to have a fight, not only within yourself, but with some people in your life who are telling you that, look, why don't you pursue that? You've been doing it for so long. Right? And I mean, just as an example, I keep telling my younger son, who's doing film and media, that it's immensely possible that over time, as he ties more and more knots in his thinking and his doing, that yeah, he's gone to study film and media and film production, but it's immensely possible that he chooses another profession. And I think a lot of people go through considerable amount of guilt because they feel that they're answerable to the world. They're answerable to their parents, they're answerable to their friends. And people are asking them questions. Why have you given up that? But if your heart is not in it and your knot has loosened, it's all right. Don't walk away with guilt. So that's one of the worst things to do. Because that's going to affect everything else that you do afterwards. Yeah.
But is it better to be fixated on a goal rather than being open to change?
You can decide. But the more fixed you are, greater the misery.
But greater the reward as well.
You don't know if you get the rewards or not, right? Everything is hard work. And there's a whole bunch of people out there who want to get somewhere but won't put in the work necessary. We want everything easy, no? I mean, look at the screen culture, right? Everything is so easy. So it's so easy to go through half an hour of Instagram and pick up ideas that you never had before. So there's a part of it that's brilliant. But the more fixed you are in where you want to get to, the greater the misery. So for me, the question is it about the knot or is it about the journey? Is it about the goal or is it about the journey?
It's somewhat about the goal, but it matters. Like to me, the journey matters more because once you get where you want to, it feels like okay, I've got it.
Yeah.
But whatever you experience and you learn throughout the way and after you get it, that I feel is more important to me than
So the
getting to
journey,
the goal.
right?
Yeah.
So immense energy, the more energy you put into the journey, the greater the chances of reaching that goal. But if you put your energy into the goal, you're constantly comparing yourself and you're going to fall short. So you'll never be enough. And that's part of the misery. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And neither is good or bad, right or wrong, right? All we're saying is this is what life seems like. And to get mastery in anything requires that effort. Okay. So now the choice is, if you have, do you want a tight knot or a loose knot? Do you want the ability to loosen the knot? Yeah? Okay. So when you have a tight knot, you can't hear the world. You can't hear anybody else. Because all you can see is this. But when you loosen the knot a bit, the world opens up with possibilities. Yeah? Any thoughts on that? I know I'm kind of challenging this whole idea about goals and destinations, right?
Sometimes you have put in lot of efforts into like doing something, and then you're overthinking
Who's you?
sorry, me.
Me. Okay.
I've done put in a lot of efforts into
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and then I want to do something new.
Uh-huh.
The efforts I have to put again to do that. That is something I would not.
Something, what thing
Again putting that much of effort
is? What about it?
like that's the not for me. Like I don't know.
Resistance to putting in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
effort.
yeah.
Resistance to putting that effort again.
Again,
So why are you putting in the effort again? You've already put in the effort, right?
yeah,
At some time, at some
yeah.
point.
Like switching or losing that knot.
Yeah, but who made the choice of loosening that knot?
I myself,
You did, right?
yeah,
And did you have a good reason?
still working on that. The reason is
Oh,
still,
you had a good reason. Otherwise, you would not have loosened the knot, right? At that point in time, it seemed like a good reason.
okay,
You may not agree with it now.
correct.
So, what's the struggle with putting in effort?
Doing it top over. Like,
But you already know that.
yeah,
And you knew it when you moved your attention away from that knot, right? So, how, so I think where I want to take this is that in any business, when, let's say you're talking to a client, would you say you're walking in with knots? No? Okay. Huh? Yes? Okay, great. And when you're walking in with knot, would you say that the client also has knots? What happens to those conversations?
Depends on what kind of knots, where the communication goes. Like in terms of, is it a knot related? Maybe they aren't sure what marketing or anything is how it works. They're scared that probably somebody's overcharging them, taking advantage of them, or they don't know what to expect. Also, a lot of times, and then usually when probably I go in, I have a fair idea. Okay, this is okay. This you can do for marketing. This is what will probably work for you. So just getting to the midpoint where they understand I also can offer a service, or we can also offer a service in negotiated rates, which
Right.
is acceptable on both sides.
Right.
But more often than not, like it's a process. It's a long process.
Correct. And what does that process include?
It's
What
like,
if I'm the client and you're trying to convince me of something I'm not quite convinced.
Okay, so why?
Where will you take the conversation?
So, what is your product like?
My product is education.
So, in this day and age, why do you think you need marketing? What is your? Why did you think of doing marketing?
Because I want to let people know that I'm doing this.
Great.
I'm teaching this course.
Yes, because as much it's necessary to get awareness.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of noise on the internet and everything, and it's all
Yeah.
flooded.
Yeah.
So you still need to stand out in that noise, and I think we can get you there.
How?
We can do what we can offer differently is we can do podcasts for you. We can do a lot of video shoots. We can get we can get the audience to connect with you because you at the end of the day you are the brand of your product.
Yeah, but I don't want my face to be there.
We can do so with a voiceover or we can work around that, but what we would suggest is that at the end of the day people come to you, they're learning from you,
Hmm.
so they want to see who they're learning from, what expertise that person has, and they need to be connected to you enough that they want, like, I think you have a great energy and you have your knowledge about it. If the like a really good knowledge and experience and everything about it, and that needs to come out through your marketing, otherwise it's not going to reach your audience.
Yeah, but I don't want my face.
Maybe can we start with like once or twice, and then we can see how it goes and we can see how the results are different, because
I
we
want
believe that
people to focus on uh, the subject rather than on me,
yeah
which is why I don't want my face.
yeah, that's understandable. We can still have a b-roll going on for most of it, that's not an issue, but eventually they need to also see you sometimes to get, I think, attached and connected, because that is where you will stand out.
Okay,
Because
can I pause
yeah.
this? What's your knot?
Sorry, I was just thinking in terms of the calendar.
They got
Yeah,
it? Right. So you are already way ahead in your
yeah,
thinking.
yeah.
But if I just stop, pause the conversation and said, what's your knot? What is it you're really selling to me here
I am trying to
that you're
sell what
convinced about?
how you can sell
Right. And what's my knot?
that you don't want to be there.
That's it.
Yeah,
And this can go on for a hell of a long time.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So that was just a wonderful example of, and I think for me, the question always is um how that if we bring Titan knots into a conversation, like we just did, what do you think happens to the conversation?
Like eventually, one person either backs down, or the client just gets closed off, or sometimes even the agency is like, "This is not going to be worth working on."
Right. So would you agree that you had an agenda?
Yeah, but to sell your product or service,
Huh?
to sell your product or service, which is what any agency
No.
does. Yeah,
Right. But you had an agenda.
yeah.
What did that agenda include? What just mention one thing that you talked about.
Like it was more of like videography.
Put your face out. I mean, let's just simplify it.
Yeah,
Put your face out there,
yeah.
right? Okay. Here's a thought. When we bring Titan knots into the conversation, they often then they become fights. Because now I'm going to try and convince you, and you're going to try and, yeah. So I'm going to call it a fight and knot. Okay. So I have your truth. Yeah, please.
So, is it like the goal is to like bypass the knot, like go turn away, bypass the knot, or is it to loosen the knot? Like, what should be the process of it? towards the client. Like,
You can you really bypass a knot? It's like bypassing an idea, right?
okay,
Can you really do that?
like in the conversation, you are like you're very reluctant. Then is it okay, like just to go around it?
Okay,
Like,
go on.
it's okay if you don't want to show the face, but are there any more trainers with you or a co-founder who would like to?
Ah, what you just did was loosen your knot about having me.
Oh, okay. Correct, correct.
So you didn't go around it. You just loosened your knot. Yeah.
Okay,
That in
got it.
conversations that get tight like that, sometimes we've got to find alternate ways of approaching it. And she was almost there, but I wanted to tighten my knot, and then I kind of drew her to my resistance. Now she's got to fight it. Did you notice that? You almost offered an alternative.
I was actually going to, maybe we can show certain sessions live or something.
There
like
you
that.
go, right? And
Yeah.
I said, oh no, this is too early. I've got to tighten my knot. And I tightened my knot and I drew you into that trap.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an act of loosening the knot.
Like, we should try to loosen our knots. Is that like?
Yeah, because all people hear are the tightened knots. I couldn't hear anything beyond the tightened knot. And I knew I was going to be adamant about that. So in conversations, we're all very quick to pick up tightened knots, and the tightened knots actually invite resistance from us. So the moment I hear a tightened knot, I'm going to resist.
Okay.
Your face is necessary. No, but I don't want my face. I really don't. And I can go on and on about it because that's all I can hear now. And the trick is to be able to loosen that knot, because the moment you do that, then the resistance drops. Yeah? Okay. So I think in principle, what we're really saying is that in any conversation, there are always more than one truth. Are you getting that? No? There's always more than one truth. In this conversation, you had your truth, you had your truth, I had mine. Today, you have your truth about something. And that's real for you, whatever it is that you want to do. And by all means, pursue it. But when you encounter a difference, somebody else's idea, you know what, I don't think you should do anything. Why do you want to sit in one place? I think you should, you're really good at shooting stuff. So why don't you pursue cinematography or whatever that, the act of carrying a camera around, because I think you have that.
Because what happens on the field and what happens behind the scene is completely different.
What did you
You
just
can
do?
tighten my knot.
Huh?
Tighten my knot.
Right. So, and first is resistance to the idea that anybody proposes. So now I have my truth that you should do this, and you have your truth. I'm just curious, what would be an alternate way?
Alternate way
Because
of
we have
what?
our knots.
Yeah.
You have your knot, I have my knot. And your knots are valid, and so are my knots, because I come from a history, an experience, a training, and so do you. And these knots, in between is all this. So you have your logic and explanation for why behind the camera, on the editing table, is where the truth lies. Right? And I have my truth, which is saying, hey, what did I see, and what you capture through the camera is the truth. So now you have your truth and I have mine, right? And we're going to offer resistance to each other. And our truths, if anybody listening, what are you hearing as we talk about this?
he's stuck with his idea, you're stuck with your
Right?
idea.
Do you have a solution?
What is the context of like?
His future.
Okay. I don't think there's much point in having a lot of thought and like if you want to do something and then you go to film school, you like as you experience it, he can change, he can decide.
Sure. Right?
Yeah.
Now we have a third truth.
Yeah.
You see how conversations happen?
Yeah.
And just remember that these truths are all truths.
Yeah.
But yours may not be mine, and mine may not be yours. So there's your truth and there's my truth. And how do we then work around this conversation? But I'd like to stop at this point. Just wanted to share with you the idea that any conversation has this,
Yes.
has this difference. And every time, every conversation has a string of knots. And when we're not getting anywhere, and you'll find that a lot of conversations go nowhere because they end in the first 30 seconds because you've told me you're not, I've shared with you my not, and the rest of it is all resistance gaming. And is there a way of being able to loosen the knot the way, you said, okay, let's not have your face. The moment I heard that, my resistance dropped. And then you suggest an alternative, right? And in conversations, especially in your business, when you talk to clients, I think it's really important to be able to recognize those knots and not fight them. Because the only person who can loosen the knot will be the other person. You can never loosen somebody else's knot. The more you try, the tighter it's going to get.
So what if it's absolutely like sometimes clients have an idea or they do some research this that because now a lot of information is available and they think they know.
Yeah.
So it's
They think they know or they know.
they think they know. Most of them they think.
See?
I know.
Are you hearing this?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's wrong, but it's true also.
Yeah, but isn't it his truth?
But he's wrong.
Well put. Okay, go on.
Sometimes if like for easiest thing probably that somebody has to do LinkedIn,
Hmm.
but they keep saying no, I want to do only Instagram,
Okay.
and they're not budging on that.
Yeah.
So then you can't listen to like things like that, right?
What can you do? I want only LinkedIn. Because my following on LinkedIn is much bigger than on
That's
Instagram.
not going to work for your brand, and it doesn't matter if you have that or not.
Right. Now work around the knot.
Sometimes you also don't want to.
Ah. So are you willing to lose me as a client? Because you lost me, no? He's got an idea.
Maybe like we can go with the LinkedIn idea, but maybe we can try other things for a while. And if it suits and if it works out, then it's better for the both of us.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting, say, for a few weeks,
So what did I just do?
loosen your knot.
So what are you suggesting? For some time?
Suggesting trying Instagram maybe for a few weeks or so. If it works out, then we will go not my way,
Few
but
weeks. That's a long time.
what suits right to you then.
I'm willing to try it for a week.
Fine. Let's see how much progress we get in a week.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work out, then we'll go however you want it to.
Yeah, and then you'd be willing to listen to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it happens in a
give me
week, it
that, give me
happens.
that. I like this. Yeah,
Like, but it takes at least a month to analyze the results.
yeah, but you're charging me for it. I'm going to be paying for something I don't believe in. Wait. Wait.
So my
Don't
thought,
suggest
legit goes to
I-
then do it yourself, like a lot of times.
Right. So you're willing to lose me as a client. Yeah?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What if you don't? What if you're broke and you really need me?
I'll take it because this is what exactly what's happening also. Like now I'm willing to lose clients. So
Okay. So what's going to be at the other end of that knot?
huh?
Because you've tightened it so much.
Yeah.
What's at the other end of it?
I have to go out and find new clients or
What else? At a feeling level?
At a
At a feeling level,
at a feeling level, I think I'd feel better.
you feel better,
Yeah.
but you're broke.
I'll find a way.
You find a way,
Yeah.
and you may not get a client for a while.
I'll wait it out.
Okay. Cool.
But sometimes it's not worth it.
Yeah. So you see how tight your knot is.
Yeah. With some people, yeah.
As long as you know,
Yes.
that's the only important thing. Okay. Great. Thank you very much for your time. So try and loosen your knots. See if you can find alternate ways of dealing with resistance. And the only way to deal with resistance is to loosen your own knot. Have fun with it.
One
Thank you
last-
very. Oh yeah, please.
Yeah. So every time you have a conversation with anybody, be it work or whatever, every conversation has set amount of knots.
Yeah.
So to get through the conversation or to ease into it and to make it last for a longer time. For example, if I'm talking to someone and if we let our knots come in between, as you said, the conversation is gonna last barely 30 seconds. How do I say things or what do I do to increase the duration of the conversation to just not let it die in the first 30 seconds?
If you if your attention is on, okay, where's your attention right now? What are you asking?
I'm asking how I'm supposed to increase or make the conversation last longer.
Right. You know the answer.
Losing the
You tell
knots.
me.
Loosening the knots.
Loosening who's not?
Starting with me
Starting with you.
and then
Pretty
go
much.
eventually.
That's the answer. And just know that there will be knots that you may never want to loosen.
How do I
Like,
work around that?
yeah, we like she didn't want to loosen her knot, and she's aware of it, and that's fine. But she's not going to loosen a particular knot just because her clients want something, because it's so far away from what she believes is the right thing. And we all have things like that that we hold on to. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. But if you can see what's at the other end of the knot, and maybe the question to ask is, do I want to be miserable? Do I want to be hungry? Do I want to be without work? All those things play themselves out and sounds like she's willing. But becoming aware of what knot am I not willing to loosen? Just an awareness is enough, and I think you'll know what to do.
Just last question, like you have loosened your knots, but the person sitting right in front of you are not willing to budge at all.
Yeah.
Like they're not willing to move like a bit also. So
Right.
in that scenario, what's the best thing you can do? Like,
Do you know what his knot is?
yeah,
Did you ask?
no. Like, how
So
should
sometimes
we-
a question like, so what is it that you're not willing to budge about at all? And then so sometimes the knot, you see it so close that you can't see anything else, right?
Yeah.
And what you want to do is to, for a moment, just ask that person to take that away, so everything else begins to play itself out. And what you're asking him to do is to, what is it that you are holding on to that you will not budge about? And it could be many different things, right?
Yeah.
It could be, I have only so much money, I have only so much time, I have only this, I have only that. It could be color that I hate red, and you're suggesting red. I don't know.
Okay.
And sometimes we've got to work around that because sometimes their knots become ours,
Correct.
right?
Basically, we get entangled into their
Right,
knots.
because the moment I hear a knot, I'm going to offer resistance.
Correct.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time,
Thank
ladies
you
and
so
gentlemen.
much. Yeah.
Thank you all. Bye. We're done. Oh. Oh, by the way, that was officially the end of the session. Do you know if there's anybody on it?
Yeah, there were like 10 people at one point. And then
Yay!
Okay.
I was